It all began in Oyo Isle, the old Oyo Empire, the home of Alaafin, the administrative monarch of Yoruba Kingdom. The Oyo Empire sprawling mightily like Iroko tree amidst the blossoming rainforest with fertile land. Her leadership system and formidable military strategies led to conquest of towns and kingdoms far reaching the Atlantic shores. The Oyo Empire was at its peak, conquering kingdoms, towns and villages, subjecting them to an indirect rule, where the Alaafin rules those settlements by an agile, and those kings who couldn't afford to see their town being ransacked by the fearsome Oyo forces were subjected to tribute. The names of mighty men of valor in Oyo's military force is enough to scare hell out of any commander who will attempt invading Oyo Empire. Alien tribes were scared of Oyo, so they sent emissaries on treaty terms to the Alaafin. Amidst this progress, the oyomesi were on the verge of installing a new Alaafin on the sacred throne after the demise of the late king, whose reign brought great exploit to the empire. Several consultations through the IFA and ritual rites were done. A young prince emerges as the god's favorite. According to the IFA oracle, his aura will bring good fortune and peace to Oyo, even beyond that of his predecessor. The oyomesi were delighted about the prophecy, and they wasted no time in carrying out all necessary royal rites before ushering the young prince to Ipibi, a royal coven. However, the young prince, unlike everyone in the palace, he was very industrious. His royalty and affluence doesn't stop him from pursuing his ambition as a prominent farmer and businessman. He and his servants often trade round the Oyo Empire, selling clothes and other commodities across Yoruba land. He was famous and loved by everyone for his humility. Despite being an Oyo prince, when he and his trading party reached any town, the young prince will visit the ruler of the town as a sign of respect. This made everyone loved and respect him. His wealth couldn't be overlooked, as he is friends of prominent men. Few days before the coronation of the young prince, messages were sent round the empire about the ceremony. Every rulers and prominent men under the Oyo Empire were preparing to visit Oyo Isle with gifts. Men and women in different groups were also preparing for the grand event. Teams of hunters led by Oyos under the command of Balogun Ogunjomi had bombarded forests to hunt down bushmeat. Fortnight to the coronation, the hunting party were around with plenty meats, chanting a sonorous ijola to Ogun for the abundant games. The chief farmer and other farmers have made yams, palm wine and other farm products available. The women folks led by the Ayolode and the Ayoloja, market women leader, have selected women in groups for the cooking, while young ladies were selected to sing and entertain the guests. In the twilight, everyone was in a festive mood. Rumors about the young prince to be crowned as the new Alaafin spread rapidly to every town in the Oyo Empire. Visitors from far and near were entering the city to witness the coronation. Those in Oyo Isle were also preparing to entertain the guests. The women are cooking, while young men are assisting with difficult tasks like pounding yam and splitting firewoods. The children are playing under the moonlight after exhaustive trips to the stream to get water. The moon shines brightly like it's one of the guests, revealing the old men who sat in different groups drinking palm wine. One of those groups is a Kinjimi and few warriors talking about war and their brave escapades in the last battle between Oyo and the Dahomey. They were also contemplating on the future of the kingdom under the new king. They talked until their mouths became sore and their eyes was red and filled with sleep. The group dispersed with a lame good night, seeing each man staggering to his hut. Like an eagle, the dawn came swiftly. The priest and the chiefs ushered the new king into his royal chamber to prepare him for the coronation. The women folks were still busy cooking. The palace courtyard was swept by the servants. White chalk, iphone, was used to draw beautiful images on its wall. The male servants were making new shade with palm fronds. Before the sunrise, the royal poet was at the palace frontage rendering ancestry homages and eulogies to Oyo and the new king. People are already coming out to the palace with their raffia mats and chairs to sit. The special guest Oba, Boss, Ajil, Baligans and the Ora owner Kokonfo, the Oyo Generalissimo, all sat under the shade by left, decorated with colorful attires. Members of the royal families were under the shade on the right, while the oyomesi took their position before the throne. The drummers and singing groups were entertaining the crowds when the king's aide entered with the royal staff. Immediately, the singers left the ground and the drummers stopped the beat. Everyone was silent, only the poet, with his high-pitched feminine voice, was reciting a scintillating eulogy to welcome the Alaafin until the king himself came out to the crowds. He appeared elegantly dressed in a lofty agbada designed with beautiful embroidery. The crown laced with beads graced his head with some akoko leaves, alongside royal beads on his neck and wrists. The crowds all fall down to pay homage, Kobiyisi O. They chorused. He waved his hostel in response and signaled them to sit. There was a short silence after everyone returned to their seats. The silence shows that the crowds are paying rapt attention with enthusiasm to hear the speech of the new king. The Alaafin started his speech by rendering praise to Olodumare and deities for installing him on the sacred seat of his ancestors. He thanked the oyomesi for their honesty and struggle to install the right prince on the throne. He thanked the people of Oyo Kingdom who came from far and near to grace his coronation. Lastly, he thanked the leaders of rural settlements and towns for the unflinching support and cooperation towards a better leadership and living of everyone in Oyo Empire. He then prayed for everyone. May we all experience a good health and abundant wealth in this new reign. AC. The crowds chorused as the Alaafin waved his hostel. The royal poet and his flutist broke the silence as he rendered eulogies with his melodious voice. Then the Otan stood up to address the crowd. He faced the leader of the rural town. On behalf of the king, the oyomesi welcome you all. We are sure you have all came from far to honor the Alaafin. May the gods honor you all, he said. AC. The chorus then he continued. If any of you have anything to say, the floor is open before we start merriment, he said, and sit back in his position. One of the leaders of the rural town stood up. He was the Bale of Ije. On behalf of every Obos, Boss, Ajios, we thank the Alaafin for his care since we arrived here. We knew he is a great man. We saw his unparalleled riches even before being crowned a king. He is a king. Atibitil and Iboba, what he said, gesticulating with his hand like to seek affirmation from others. Bini. They replied him cheerfully. Before he continued, we have all brought little gift for his majesty. He bowed before taking his seat. The OSI stood up to say something. You have all done well, even though our king is a king. Before ascending the throne, the horses in his stable, the large capacity of his barns and other valuable assets, he said, smacking his lips, just to mention few of his riches. Yet the Alaafin will humbly receive your gift. The drummers and singers took the floor. The first group sang praises to God.